all, and I want to thank the Kathleen Thompson Centre and also Relatives for Justice bringing the quilt this evening, but I also want to start by offering my sincere thanks to the Thompson family for having me here this evening on what is a very significant day for you all. I genuinely am humbled because I was actually speaking with Mark Thompson just earlier on this evening, and I've said this a lot over the years, that as a child, as a teenager, I remember particularly looking at the Bloody Sunday families as they carried banners or as they walked on significant dates with 15 years and 20 years or 25 years, and whilst your support and solidarity was permanently with those families, as a teenager I sometimes ask myself, how do they keep doing that? How do they do that after 20 years? And how do they do that after 25 years? And then you live it, and you realise that you have to do it, that you want to do it, that there's a need and a necessity to do it, because it's important that as families that we remember, and I think that's what for me tonight is primarily about. It's about a family remembering their loved one. It's about remembering Kathleen, but it's also, I think, about showing solidarity, and that's why I think it's important that I'm here this evening, and it's important that everybody was at the Mass and everybody continues to stand with the Thompson family, because this isn't just about remembrance, as I say. Parallel to a journey of that loss is a journey for truth and justice, and families shouldn't have had to do that, but families have had to do it, and families shouldn't have to do it for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, but they have had to do it for 50 years, and it is genuinely inspiring, and it's probably continuing the theme as to what Colin and Paul and Andre is saying, is that there is that power, that strength in unity, I think, particularly when families are campaigning, because whilst it can maybe feel like a lonely journey at times, it certainly isn't lonely, because I know personally, me and also us as a family would look at other families' journey and take strength from that. And how can you not take strength from a family like the Thompsons, who continue to go on that journey for 50 years? And whilst 50 years is maybe a huge number to a teenager, it's certainly not a huge number whenever you're at the stage and you've lived it, because I'm sure it feels like yesterday, or it's just something that has to go on. And whilst the significant dates for everybody else can sometimes be a court case, or it can sometimes be a public event, there's also significant dates that families have to live, and that's birthdays, it's weddings, it's graduations, it's jobs, it's people moving away, it's new arrivals into the family, and I think that is what we all need to remember, that families have had to live with, far too many families. So I think it's really important that we have that solidarity as well as we have that remembrance. And again, following what other speakers have said about what we face at the minute, I think that certainly in the context of our own case, it's hard to think of a threat to justice and truth that has ever been put before us all than what is being proposed by the British government at the minute. Their political proposals in the summer, I think we're all running out of adjectives to describe them, certainly adjectives that you can say in public, in polite company, but it has united people, as Colin touched on, and it's united people not just amongst the Thompson family or in this city or even in the north, but it's united people internationally. Everybody bar one actor, and that's the British government, are dead set because they see the danger of what it is the British government are proposing to do. They're not just seeking to draw a line, they're seeking to actually close down any attempt at families getting that truth and getting that justice. And one phrase that sometimes gets thrown at families, which never ceases to drive me mad, is the agenda to rewrite history. Well, if we didn't rewrite history, then the people of Bloody Sunday would have been called gunmen, or the people of Ballymurphy would have been called people who probably deserved it, or my father would have been something quite different if our campaign hadn't shown that it was actually a very different case. So it is important that not only do we rewrite, but we correct history. But we must do that within a system that allows us to do it. And it's not a system of our making, it's a system that's in line with international human rights standards, legal standards, equality, a fairness at the heart of a legal system. And what does this British government do whenever the system doesn't work in their interests? They just do away with it. And I think what tonight shows, it shows that we aren't going to stand by and allow that to happen. Politically, I'm standing with you. Personally, I'm standing with you. We have the entire community across this island and beyond that is going to collectively stand together to ensure that the British government can't cover up what it is that they did here on so many families, and certainly what families are entitled to right across the board, irrespective of who took their loved one's life. They are entitled to the basic standards of truth and justice, because families shouldn't have to go 50 years. They shouldn't have, campaigning families shouldn't turn into grandchildren, or in some cases great-grandchildren, because that for me is the cruelty that lies at the heart of this, where the British government simply don't care and they're happy for great-grandchildren and beyond to be out and marching on the streets. But make no mistake, if that's what is required to happen, then we will be doing that. So once again, I want to thank the Thompson family for having me here this evening. It really is an honour, and thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our final speaker today